My dear brothers and sisters, my dear friends, look around you. Look at your life right now. Do you ever feel like you're standing in a hallway lined with closed doors? The door to a solution you desperately need closed. The door to inner peace locked. The door to a future you dream of bolted shut. You've knocked, you've pushed. You've even tried to force them open, but they don't budge. And it feels like you're trapped in a waiting room of life. Today, I want to talk to you about a key. Not a physical key, but a divine key, a spiritual key that has the power to unlock doors you never even imagined existed. The instruction is simple, yet profound. Say this Dhikr 400 times, Allah will open doors you never imagined. The instruction is deceptively simple. Repeat a specific remembrance of God 400 times. On the surface, it reads like a spiritual recipe, a prescribed number that, if followed, yields a result. But to understand the power of this number, we must look beyond the mere counting of beads or the tolling on fingers. We must delve into the profound psychological and spiritual alchemy that occurs when a human being commits to such a deliberate, repetitive act. The number 400 is not arbitrary. It is the threshold where repetition is transformed from a mundane action into a profound power. It is the point at which the noise of the world is silenced and the signal of the soul is amplified. Consider the nature of our modern minds. They are battlegrounds, constantly assailed by a relentless barrage of information, anxiety, and desire. A notification pulls our attention one way, a worry yanks it another. We are fragmented, our consciousness scattered across a dozen different concerns at any given moment. In this state of internal chaos, how can we possibly hope to forge a connection with the divine that is strong enough to shift the very foundations of our reality? It is like trying to whisper a secret into the ear of a friend while standing in the middle of a roaring hurricane. The message, no matter how heartfelt, is lost to the wind. The initial stage of any spiritual undertaking is therefore not about reaching God, but about gathering the self. It is about corralling the runaway horses of our thoughts and focusing them on a single, unwavering point. This is where the journey of 400 begins. The first 10, 20, or even 50 repetitions are often easy. They are fueled by initial intention and hope, but then the resistance sets in. The mind, unaccustomed to such singular focus, rebels. It whispers that this is a waste of time. It conjures up a list of all the more productive things you could be doing. It reminds you of your problems, making them seem larger and more urgent than this quiet, repetitive act. This is the first great test. Pushing through this barrier is the initial forging of spiritual strength. It is the moment you declare, with your action, that your connection to the divine is more important than the fleeting chatter of your mind. Each repetition beyond this point of resistance is a hammer blow shaping your will, strengthening your focus, and building what can only be described as a fortress of inner stillness. As you move into the hundreds, something subtle begins to shift. The words of the Dhikr, which started as a conscious, verbalized thought, begin to sink deeper. They move from the tongue to the mind, from the mind to the heart, and eventually into the very rhythm of your breath and the pulse of your blood. The external meaning of the words may even begin to recede, replaced by a pure, vibrational essence. You are no longer just saying the words, you are becoming the remembrance. This is the state of ihsan, or spiritual excellence, often described as worshipping God as if you see Him. While you may not see Him, the repetitive focus creates such a profound presence that it feels as if the veil between you and the divine has become thin, almost transparent. In this sacred space, the Dhikr is no longer something you do, it is something that flows through you. It becomes a self-sustaining spiritual current. This process is the very essence of building a direct and powerful connection. Think of your connection to God as a spiritual internet signal. Most of the time, we operate with a weak, intermittent Wi-Fi connection. We send out a quick prayer, a hurried request, and the signal is so weak and cluttered with interference that it barely connects. The 400 repetitions are the equivalent of plugging directly into the fiber optic source. You are eliminating all interference. the doubts, the distractions, the worldly static, you are establishing a broadband connection of the soul, a channel of such clarity and bandwidth that your spiritual data, your pleas, your gratitude, your presence travels instantaneously and without corruption. This is why the practice is so powerful. It isn't that God only listens after 400 times. It is that we only truly begin to transmit with full power and clarity after having purified our focus to such an extent. Therefore, the number 400 is a spiritual technology. It is a design process to break the habitual patterns of a distracted mind and rewire our consciousness for divine reception. It demands a level of commitment that separates the casual seeker from the sincere traveler. When you complete this journey, you have done more than just fulfill a quota. You have built a sanctuary of silence within yourself. You have declared the supremacy of your spirit over your ego. You have, through the sheer force of focused repetition, carved out a channel in your own being through which the light of the divine can flow unimpeded. This is the transformed repetition. This is the power that is built one sacred word at a time until the cumulative force of 400 of them becomes a key capable of unlocking any door. The journey of 400 repetitions is often misunderstood as a transaction, a kind of spiritual barter where we offer a certain quantity of prayer in exchange for a desired outcome. But this perspective misses the deeper, more transformative truth of what is actually occurring. The real magic is not in the counting, but in the profound shift in consciousness that the act of counting facilitates. It is a physical, tangible journey that moves the soul from a state of anxious striving to one of serene surrender. This is the essence of tawakkul, absolute trust in God, and the practice of this dhikr is one of its most powerful practical applications. It is the active, embodied process of shifting from passive hope to active trust. To understand this, we must first look at the nature of human worry. When faced with a closed door, a financial hardship, a broken relationship, a health crisis, our instinct is to activate our own power. We strategize, we plan, we force, we push. We lie awake at night, running through countless scenarios, trying to mentally wrestle a solution into existence. We are like a farmer who, having planted a seed, constantly digs it up to check on its progress, ultimately killing it with his anxiety. This state is one of ultimate isolation. We carry the entire, crushing weight of the universe on our own shoulders, operating under the illusion that the outcome is solely dependent on our own limited intellect and effort. It is an exhausting, lonely, and ultimately futile way to live. The instruction to perform this dhikr 400 times is a divine intervention into this cycle of anxiety. It does not ask you to stop caring or to abandon effort. Instead, it gives you a specific, concrete, and spiritually potent action to perform. It is the spiritual equivalent of the Prophet's teaching to tie your camel. You are not meant to leave your camel untied, foolishly expecting God to keep it from wandering. No, you must tie it, you must do your due diligence, make your plans, send your applications, seek your treatments. But after you have tied your camel, what then? Do you stand there white-knuckled, holding the rope all night, straining against every gust of wind? Or do you tie it securely and then entrust its safety to the one who controls the wind and the night? The 400 repetitions are the act of tying the camel and then walking away in trust. By investing a significant portion of your time and mental energy into this focused remembrance, you are performing a powerful symbolic and very real act. You are saying with your entire being, "Ya Allah, I have done the part that is within my capacity. I have tied my camel to the best of my ability. But now I recognize that the ultimate outcome is not in my hands, it is in yours. And so, instead of spending this hour in frantic worry, I will spend it in intimate conversation with you. I am trading my anxiety for your presence." This is the shift from passive hope to active trust. Passive hope is a waiting game. It is sitting by the window, hoping for a change in the weather. Active trust is building a shelter, knowing that regardless of the storm or sunshine, you have taken refuge in something unshakable. When you commit to this dhikr, you are not just hoping God will listen, You are actively building that shelter through every repetition. You are replacing the chaotic, destructive energy of worry with the structured, creative energy of devotion. You are draining the power from your fears and channeling it into your faith. The beauty of this process is that the trust is built during the action, not after. As you move through the first 100, you might still feel the tug of your problems. By the second or third 100, a subtle release begins to occur. The problem hasn't vanished, but your relationship to it has transformed. You feel its weight being lifted from your shoulders because you are consciously with each Subhanallah or Astaghfirullah handing it over. You are depositing your burden into a divine trust fund. The rhythmic, meditative nature of the practice quietens the amygdala, the brain's fear center, and activates the prefrontal cortex associated with planning and positive regulation. Science is merely catching up to what faith has known for millennia. Structured repetition and prayer rewire the brain for calm and resilience. By the time you reach the 400th repetition, you have accomplished something far greater than fulfilling a religious duty. You have undergone a psychological and spiritual metamorphosis. You have proven to yourself through action that you can choose trust over terror. You have shifted your identity from being the sole, harried manager of your life's problems to being a trusted servant of the Lord of the worlds, who handles all affairs with a wisdom far beyond your own. The closed door no longer taunts you with its impenetrability, because your trust is no longer in the door opening, but in the one who holds the keys to all doors. You have actively placed your affairs in the best of hands, and in doing so, you have found a peace that is itself the first and most beautiful of the unimaginable doors swinging open.